So, as I mentioned, my name is Matt Williams, and I'm the Business Services Specialist. Today's Lunch and Learn is on Business Plans 101. I do want to preface that this is a huge topic to cover in 45 minutes to an hour. Most individuals learn this in a 4-year business program or a 2-year MBA program. So, we're going to cover just a high overview of business plans. So let's go ahead and jump into the content. Here's my direct contact information. If I can be of any of assistance to you or your business, please feel free to reach out to me either at my email address or my direct extension. Okay, so today's overview or today's agenda is we're going to go through an overview of each part of a business plan, which includes the executive summary, the mission and vision, the business description, the target market, and the location, the organization and management, your marketing and sales strategy, and then your financial strategy, or we call that financial management. We'll also go over some common supporting documents that a bank or credit union might need when you bring your business plan in to go get a business loan. And then lastly, we'll cover some free resources, both through the public library as well as just general government federal resources that you can take advantage of to help you with your business plan. So let's jump in. Okay, so an executive summary. So this is, if you're looking at the business plan, it's like each page in each section. So the first page that you're gonna have on your business plan is your executive summary. It's often 1 to 2 pages. It provides a snapshot of your company explaining who you are, what you do, and why you want to start this company. Um, and the most important thing is this is the last item that you're going to write as part of your business plan. So you're going to summarize every other part that we're going to be talking about today in your executive summary. The executive summary is pretty much intended to just be as it sounds. If a corporate executive is looking at your business plan, they want the highlight reel. So they just kind of want to see the first few pages. They don't necessarily, and then if they want to dig further, they can go to that section of the business plan. So after the executive summary, you're going to have your mission and vision statements. So the mission is the purpose of your business, and the vision is the perception of the company's growth and potential. So in this section, you're going to want to include specific goals and objectives that your business is going to have. It can include like where you see the business growing in 5 years or 10 years, or how you would want to do that. And then having those milestone marker goals for that section as well. But just to kind of paint the picture of a mission and vision statement, I've included some pretty big corporate statements. So Nike's mission statement is to bring inspiration and innovation to every athlete in the world. If you have a body, you are an athlete. So there, the mission statement is very succinct. It's usually a brief statement, nothing like a full paragraph or anything like that. It's usually just a quick thing to show the purpose of your business. Now, the vision statement is it can be a little bit longer. So as you can see with Coca-Cola's vision statement, it says, our vision is to craft the brands and choice of drinks that people love to refresh them in body and spirit, and done in ways to create a more sustainable business and better shared future that makes a difference in people's lives, community, and our planet. So you can see there a little bit with the vision statement that they're talking about the company's like growth and potential and what they're looking for. They're looking to make a difference in people's lives, communities, and the planet. They're looking to refresh everyone's body and spirit for those who drink Coca-Cola. So it's kind of like that a little bit with in terms of when we're talking about company growth and potential. It's not necessarily like hammering out those details, but taking those summary of where you see your company growing. Okay, so then the next section is your business description. Now, this section, you want to provide background information about the company and include like a brief history, a list of key principals or key individuals that are a part of the company. So if it's just yourself, you're just going to list you. If it's you and a partner, you're going to list the partner that you're including in the business. If you are franchising. So, for example, some like McDonald's are franchises. You're going to want to include some history about the McDonald's Corporation. So, if you're franchising, that's where the brief history of the company is going to come in. With your business, you're going to want to go into detail about the problems that your business is looking to solve. That's why people start businesses, is they see an area that is not being supported, and then they start a business to support that area. You want to be specific. So you want to list out your consumers, any organizations or businesses that you're looking to serve. Now, you're going to hear me say this a lot today. Don't say, quote unquote, everyone is your customer. Saying that everyone is going to be your customer, well, it kind for lack of a better phrase to explain it, it sets you up for failure because you're not necessarily targeting the parts of the demographic that your product or your service can best support. But we'll get into that a little bit further in the presentation. And then the last thing you want to explain in the business description is you want to explain your competitive advantage. And that is what separates your business from your competitor. So let's take just restaurants, for example, or McDonald's again. So there's many fast food chains out there. There's McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, Taco Bell, just to name a few. But what separates each one, or like what separates each one from McDonald's? Is it the speed of service? Is it the level of customer service? Is it the price point? Is it the ability to order online for pickup? It could be a whole number of things, but you want to list your competitive advantage. So then the next section is your target market. So this is going to describe the industry with which your business will operate. So if it's a fast food chain, you're going to use the fast food industry as your target market. If it's just a restaurant, then it's going to be the restaurant market. If it's a manufacturing company, it's going to be the manufacturing industry, and so on and so forth. So you're going to provide a general profile of your of your targeted clients, what share of the market you currently have, or if you're just starting out, how much of the share of the market do you anticipate? So we hear that a lot in the business world that it's like X company has 25% of the market share. That's kind of what they're talking about when they say that is their target market is what percentage of that pie are you going to have as your business? And it could be if it's a very like competitive market, like fast food, for example, it might be just like 1% of the market, and that's okay, but you just want to explain that. In this section, you're going to also want to include the industry analysis as well as the competitive analysis. Now, what are those two things? So let's go through those. So the industry analysis is how the industry is structured. It includes trends and statistics, key players or key organizations or companies in the industry. It includes a segmentation. So how is that market broken down? It also includes sales and distribution channels. So we're going to talk a little bit later about distribution channels, but each industry has different steps and people that they go through, or they call it the middleman. So each distribution channel, depending on your product and your company, might be a little bit different. So the competitive analysis lists who are your major competitors, the strengths and weaknesses. How does your company square up to the competition? So that is like a SWOT analysis or strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. The market niche that you're a part of. And it also includes a product or service comparison. So what it could be is, again, I'm going to keep using fast food as the example, but you have two different burgers. McDonald's and Burger King has two different burgers. But what is the comparison? Do they, McDonald's, does it have poppy seeds on their bun, while Burger King does? Or does, and then how does that cost affect each product? All right. So I know we have covered quite a bit of information quite thus far. So if there's any questions, just want to reiterate, please put them into the Q&A. But I'm going to jump into the location part of the business plan. And this is pretty self-explanatory. It's where is your business located? Are you a home-based business where you either can work completely from home? Or do you operate out of like your kitchen and you have a cottage license? Or do you have a retail storefront? Or if you're manufacturing, do you have a commercial warehouse? Or lastly, is it completely an e-commerce business? Do you only operate online? So with that, you kind of just have to think about is the location or is the location of your business important? Now, if it is, like if you have a storefront, it's pretty important. So, what features of that location that you're looking to get for your storefront? What features of that location are important? And you want to list those out. Same thing for a commercial warehouse. So, I use the example. You may want your retail storefront to be in a downtown area because that's where the customers are at. But if you have a commercial warehouse, there may not be space or even the zoning in the town to allow for that. But you may want to go to a more rural area where there's a lot of space, and then you can have that large commercial warehouse. So, what kind of features of the area are important to your location? Also, in this section, you want to include any zoning, land, or building improvements that are needed to accommodate your operation. So that could be any special licenses that you need to like either build on the land or to update your building up to code. Any zoning that could be like all of our industrial manufacturing warehouses are in our industrial park, while this area of the town is zoned for residential. So that kind of thing, with which the local village or city that you're looking to operate your business in, they have the answers to all of that for you. So now we're going to talk about organization and management. So here is where you're going to describe how your company is organized as a legal structure. Now I can probably, without taking a formal poll, I can probably guess either majority of the people listening to this are going to have an LLC or a sole proprietor. Those are some of the two most common types of business structures. You may have a partnership as well, but this is where you're going to list if what type of business you are. Now, if it's a partnership, you may also want to include how that partnership is broken down. So, one of the key things that I recommend any entrepreneur or small business owner as they're entering a partnership, you and your business partner should build what is called a partnership agreement. And that will lay out everything about the business and your partnership. And include in that like a dissolution clause. So if the partnership were to dissolve or the business were to fail, we don't want that to happen, but it does. So it's a very important to also include that into your partnership agreement. And then also in the organization and management section, you're going to want to identify any special licenses or permits that your business needs to operate. So this could be for example, if it's a medical office or if you're a like sole proprietor that is like a therapist or a like a doctor who is starting their own practice, you're going to want to list any licenses that you have. So it would be your medical license, your certifications to practice, that kind of thing. And then you're also going to provide a brief bio of the key managers within your company. So if it's just you, you're going to provide a short bio about yourself. If it's you and two other people, you're going to want to list that. If you have employees already, then you can list those employees as well. And then if you have an org chart, you're going to want to include that in this section as well. So if you have a chart that goes through how your business is laid out or the kind of the hierarchy of the business, you can put that in this section as well. So the next few sections I'm going to spend quite a bit of time on because it's a huge part of the business plan, and that is your marketing and sales strategy. So this is where you identify and describe your market. So who is your customer? And again, I'm going to reiterate, don't say everyone. Ideally, everyone is your customer, but who is that individual that will be that early adopter to your product or to your service? Who's that individual that you're looking to really target your marketing and your sales to? And that is how you find your demographic information. So ideally, so your ideal customer may be middle-aged men from age 30 to 60 in a metropolitan area with X amount of disposable income to spend on the product. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about demographic information is like who, like describing that individual and how they are that ideal customer for you. Also, in this section, you're going to want to list what is the demand of your product or service. So this can be a little bit tricky to calculate with demand, but I highly recommend either reaching out to the local small business development centers or SCORE Business Mentoring, and I have links to both of those at the end. And they can kind of help you figure out the demand for your product. And then last, or not lastly, I should say, the next one is to figure out your channels of distribution. As you can see, there are three different channels of distributions that are listed here. There are many more. These are the three most common. And the third one, from the producer to the consumer, that's kind of like a farmer at a farmer's market. They grew the vegetable and then they are selling it to you, the consumer, at the farmer's market. The second one is more so, I would say the first two are kind of like grocery stores, more so. So you have the farmer who grew the vegetable and they then bring it directly to the retailer if it's a smaller grocery store, who then sells it to you. Or if they're a larger grocery store, it may go through a wholesaler. So the farmer then sells to the wholesaler, who then sells it to the retailer, who then sells it to you. The one thing to think about with the distribution channels is for every stage that you have, or for every additional channel you have in your distribution channel, your profit margin then can most typically decreases because you have to pay each individual step, and each one is going to want to make a profit or make some money on the deal. So ultimately, it does fall on the consumer, most likely, or you take as the owner or the producer, you kind of take a smaller cut. And then last thing I want to share about your sales strategy is you want to include the 4 P's of marketing. And that is price, promotion, product, and place. I also like to add an additional P, which is people. So you want to think about your consumer when you're doing your marketing strategy and your sales strategy. Now, price is just as it sounds. How much are you going to charge someone to purchase your product or service? Promotion includes what kind of channels for marketing do you want to go down? Is it going to be digital marketing? Is it going to be a mailer? Is it going to be social media marketing? All three? None of the above? All of the above? So that is what we're talking about when it comes to promotion or how you're going to promote the product. It could, if you have an item at a grocery store, your promotion might be an end cap because that's also a marketing area. Product is just as it sounds too, is what is your product or service that you're selling? And then the place is where are you marketing this? So is it at that end cap? Is it Is it through that direct mailer, or is it word of mouth or a trade show or things like that? So those are the four main P's of marketing, and then the fifth one is people. Think about that customer that you have. So a little bit more about customers, because we're those that's who you're selling your product and service to. So who are they? No, that's that demographic information that we talked about. And us at the library, we can help you figure out the demographic information for an area. Um, and then you also want to answer the question for your customers, what do they want? Do they want your product or service? What are their buying habits? Now, this is called consumer behavior. So, with their buying habits and their consumer behavior, it's a whole industry and a whole study about the psychology of how we buy what we buy. Now, for example, at a grocery store, shelves that are at eye level cost more to have your products on them than the top or the bottom shelf. And that's because consumers tend to shop at your eye level. So that is something to also think about. Like if you're entering into a retail space, shelves at eye level might be more costly to you to have your product there. Also with consumer behavior, you can think about who are my early adopters. So this kind of comes with technology. Technology is a good example of early adoption. When a new iPhone comes out, those people that are in line the day that it comes out, those are your early adopters. While the people that maybe wait a month or two or wait until like three new editions of the iPhone come out, those are going to be your late adopters to the product. The next question you want to answer is how much of the market share do these consumers make up? So we talked about how much of the market share your company takes up, and now you want to think about from the consumer market share, how much does this demographic take up in that market share? And then lastly, what are their preferences? Do they prefer to shop online or do they prefer to go to the store? Do they prefer their ads to be on Facebook or Instagram? Or do they prefer that nice mailer and the coupon list that we sometimes get? So a little bit more about the marketing channel. So advertising and promotions. How are you going to reach out to that customer? So is it going to be social media, word of mouth, email marketing? Now you want to think about your target demographic in that as well, your target customer, because if you are looking to sell a product that's meant for children, Facebook may be a spot for you to advertise because Facebook tends to be the older generation and they may have a little bit more disposable income to then spend money on their grandchildren who would buy that product. Or if you're looking to target the parents with your ad, you might go to Instagram. If it's more of a professional service, you might want to try LinkedIn. Or email marketing is very good too. When we sign up for different things, we get those email marketing ads. But also don't forget about a direct mailer. That is probably one of the most cost-effective way to market because you're just paying for production of that mailer as well as postage. So but then you get that reach that you're looking for. Um, Another way to think about your advertising and promotion is where are your customers currently shopping or where are your customers currently at? Those are good places to start your advertising. So if your customers, um, like, for example, if you have like a skateboard shop and there's a skateboard park nearby and there's a skate park nearby, maybe having a flyer up at the skate park might be a good place for you to start. Or if you have a community resource that you're type business, maybe the local churches might be a good place for you to start your advertising. And one thing you want to also think about is how will you measure the effectiveness of the advertisement? Because marketing and sales is very costly. You want to make sure that your marketing and in the right places. And if something is not necessarily working, then you want to dial back on that and maybe expand on another area for marketing. Now, with the sales strategy of it, pricing. Now, this is a big thing that entrepreneurs sometimes struggle with, and I can understand that. Picking a price point is hard. But luckily, there is a few strategies that you can take advantage of. Now, one of those strategies is called a cost plus strategy. Now, this is a common way for entrepreneurs to pick their price. And what it is you kind of choose the margin, your profit margin. So how the plus strategy works is you pick, you look at your item on a micro level. So how much does it cost to make one item or perform one service? And that includes all of your fixed costs and your variable costs. Now, fixed costs are like your rent, your like water, or well, water is actually a variable cost, but like your rent tends to be fixed. It's the same price every month. Your drawing a blank on fixed costs, but your variable costs are going to be your lighting. The more hours you have your lights on, the more it costs. So you want to think about both of those types of costs when you're thinking about that cost. Now, then you pick your profit margin. So say you want to have a 40% profit margin. So you'll take that cost per item that you have, and then you'll multiply it by a 40% profit margin. You'll add those two numbers together, and then that is your price point for your item. Now, there is a disadvantage to cost plus strategy, and that is that your customer isn't involved in the calculation. Now, what that means is when you're not thinking about your customer, they may not be willing to pay that much for that item. So you can change your profit margin and the cost margin. Well, not the cost, but the margin part of your profit margin part of the cost plus strategy. Sorry, that's like a tongue twister if you say that fast. But you can like lower that percentage to make the overall price a little more attractive to your consumer. But again, that's kind of the disadvantage of the cost plus strategy. The next strategy is a competitive pricing, which is exactly how it sounds. You look at how your competitor is pricing their product, that similar product, and then you use that to determine your price. Are you going to go just a little bit above it and then really emphasize the better quality of that product or service? Or are you going to go just below it to then kind of steal from their market share? Price skimming is the next strategy. Now, this is a strategy that is often used with products that have little to no competition. You charge a premium initially, and then you lower the price over time. A good example of like a price skimming strategy is technology. So like laptops. They tend to start at a very high price, and as time goes on, those prices tend to lower. The next strategy is what is called the penetration strategy, and that is it's a valuable strategy for a market with many similar products and price-sensitive customers. So this is where you start low in your cost and you raise your price as demand raises as well. And then the last pricing strategy is the value-based pricing. And that relies on the perceived value that the customer will have by purchasing your product or service. Now, this strategy has a higher profit margin and also aligns with the customer's perspective. Now, this too, if your price is not ideal, you can adjust it to better suit the market. However, for a commodity-like product and service in a saturated market, you're more likely to compete with low prices and can't take advantage or can't really leverage the value-based pricing. So when you're calculating your price, the number one thing that we always start before even necessarily picking your pricing strategy is to figure out your break-even point. Now, your break-even point is how many, like how much you're going to sell the item for to cover all of your costs. So everything above that point is your profit. Anything below that point is your loss. So you just want to figure out that one point, and that will help you pick your price, and then you can pick your strategy from there. There is a great article on Forbes. If you just Google pricing strategy Forbes, it's a 2022 article, and it goes through all of those different pricing strategies. Okay. So now we get to the marketing and sales strategy in the marketing and sales strategy part where we get to talk about our product and service. So this is where you're going to describe all of the products and services that you offer, and explain how you are competitive to the market and to your how you're competitive in the field that you're in. So when we're describing all of your products and service, that is everything. So, for example, landscaping companies. So, if I were wanting to start a landscaping company, I would list that I do landscaping in the like spring, summer, fall. We can do your hedge trimming as well. But then come winter, we offer snow removal services. So those are two different or three different products and service areas that my pretend company would offer, and I would want to list all of those. So with that example too, what are my unique features? Is it the timeliness of my service window? Is it the price that I have? That kind of thing. The benefits of the product. Why do people want to choose you over the other landscaping companies in town? The niches of the government or the niches of the area that you serve. So that's going to be your demographic that you want to target. And then what stage of the product that you're in? Is it just an idea at this point and you're seeking funding to make that idea a reality and you only have a prototype? Is your product currently in production? And then what does that future growth look like? So those are kind of what we call like an economy of scale. An economy of scale, like when you hear on like Shark Tank or something, when they say, I'm looking to scale this business. So that's the future growth is how you're going to continue to grow without losing some sort of like losing your profit margin. Okay. So we spent a lot of time on marketing and sales because it is a huge part of the business plan. The last part of the business plan is all about the financials. Now, I always tell my entrepreneurs, there's two to sometimes three people that are going to be your best friends when you're starting your business, and one of them is going to be your accountant. So you can find an accountant that you trust and that you like working with, and they can help you calculate all of these numbers that you will need for your business plan. So for a new business, you're going to want to estimate your startup costs. Now, include all of your one-time expenses, such as equipment, deposits, fees, all that good stuff. And then you also want to provide a projected balance sheet, an income statement, and a cash flow statement. Now, sometimes I get the question, like, what's the difference between a cash flow statement and an income statement? So an income statement is solely about the income that you are getting, while a cash flow statement also includes the money that you are spending. And then for an existing business, because you already have your startup costs covered, pretty much, you just need to include your balance sheet, your income statement, and your cash flow statement. And again, an accountant can help you crunch those numbers and create those statements. Or if you use a software like QuickBooks, QuickBooks does have options to also create those statements for you. Okay, so then lastly, here are some common supporting documents that may be requested by the bank or the credit union when you are going for that business loan. And these get all put into the appendix of the business plan. And they'll let you, and the bank should let you know what they're looking for in particular. You don't necessarily have to include all of these, but they may request some credit history for you because they are lending out quite a bit of money. They want to know your credit history. They may request a resume. They may request some pictures of your product if you have them, letters of reference that you can provide. They may request any of the licenses that you have that you need. So they may request your medical license if you're starting your own practice. They may request that you have all your permits lined up with the city, and that you provide verification that you have those permits already. They may request any patents that you have on your product. They may also request other legal documents or contracts as well. So if you have any contracts lined up for future sales, they may request that information as well. So here, and lastly, here are some free resources for business plans. Here at the library, we have two different databases that you can use to help build your business plan. One is called the Gale Business Plan Builder, and it goes through kind of the process of building your business plan step by step. And it really asks the questions that you need to be thinking about as an entrepreneur that you may not have considered with everything else that is going on with starting your own business. And there's modules in the plan builder for new entrepreneurs or even experienced business owners, as well as nonprofits. So nonprofits also need a business plan sometimes too. So there's those three different modules in the business plan builder. We also offer Gale Business Plan Entrepreneurship, which has hundreds of samples of business plans, journals, and multimedia content from all aspects of starting and operating your business. So financing, management, marketing, HR, franchising, accounting, taxes, whole nine yards as included in that. So it may help. I do sometimes will have entrepreneurs look at the sample business plans so they can see how one looks, and then they can adapt that to their business. Now, if you aren't an Addison Library card holder, that is a-okay. You can use those databases here when you're at the library. But you also can take, and everyone, whether you're a card holder or not, can take advantage of the next three resources, which is the Small Business Administration. There are business plan templates out there, videos on how to fill out business plans. You can also take advantage of SCORE Business Mentoring. They have templates and trainings and can provide one-on-one mentoring for developing your business plan, and they're great to work with. If you are not familiar with SCORE, SCORE is a subset of the Small Business Administration, and they are a bunch of volunteer retired executives who, in their retirement, they want to give back to their community. So and to give back to entrepreneurs. So they volunteer their time and share their expertise. And these volunteers cover pretty much every industry of business. So if you're looking for like social media marketing or for franchising or e-commerce or just to name a few, they have a mentor that can help you with that. But if you're looking for more of an in-person mentorship, I highly recommend our local SBDC or our Small Business Development Center. Here, and the one that covers Addison is at the College of DuPage, and they can provide mentorship and resources as well to develop your business plan. And then lastly, you can take advantage of any of the online learning modules through Udemy or LinkedIn Learning. There is a ton out there on business plans as well as setting up financials and different management tools and things like that. So highly recommend taking advantage of all of these resources. We all don't compete with one another. We're all very complementary services. So you can use the library resources as well as the one at SCORE and SBDC. Take advantage of them all, is what I like to say. So I know I have covered a ton of information in not a lot of time. So please feel free to put any questions into the Q&A.